What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. We're doing the injury report as of Friday, 4/23. Three of the biggest fantasy names in the world are on this list, and so stick around. We're going to jump right into the content, and if you like to do that too, then stick with me and hit that subscribe button. So, first, we got to start with Mike Trout. He got hit in the elbow late last night, had to come out of the game. He was in some serious pain. It sounded like, or at least it looked like. It hit him in the elbow. Now, oddly enough, I've actually been hit in the elbow playing baseball. Now, this was a long time ago, and it was not Christian Javier who hit me, who throws 90. But I got hit in my throwing elbow right in the funny bone, and I was able to play and finish the first game of that doubleheader, but then my arm swelled up so big that I couldn't physically throw the ball anymore. Even though I wanted to play, I couldn't play because I couldn't throw the ball, and it actually sat me down for the better half of a week before the swelling actually came down. So Mike Trout, it might sound like not much. Hopefully he didn't break anything with this injury, but it is possible that even if he didn't break something, he might have some major swelling, and it does not say, it says left elbow, so that's good. But it might actually be affecting his ability to field, which if it does, then he might be sitting down for the better half of a week, much like I did. Now, I'm not Mike Trout, obviously, but next, we're going to Mookie Betts. This is better news. He had a very similar thing happen. He got hit in the forearm, and it sounded like it was kind of up in the air. And obviously, we're all hoping, please don't have a broken forearm. And it turns out he didn't, so that is great news. And it looks like, well, it doesn't look like I watched it last night. He played last night. He played all right. It looked like he kind of played like he was hurt a little bit. But that's okay. He's back in the lineup. He's feeling good. So that is the best news probably out of this entire injury report. Moving on to Acuna, the fact that he's hitting off a tee is good news. He had this kind of mystery abdominal issue. It was not an oblique because that's not your abdominal, so it's kind of a weird one to diagnose here because there's not a whole lot of information. But the fact that he's hitting off a tee is good. It sounds like they're going to try to get him back into the game this weekend, most likely. This says Friday. I'm thinking they'll probably get him in this weekend, and they might just wait and get him in on Monday, depending on how it goes. Atlanta is finding themselves getting behind, so they might push him a little bit more than I would normally like to see with injuries. But he's coming back. He should be back here pretty soon. Other news, Juan Soto has a left shoulder strain. They think it's not overly serious, like they say here. The MRI actually found something, which is not really ever a good sign. They think he's going to come back when first eligible, which is all good news, but how much is that coach speak and how much of that is real? Kind of hard to say for this one, unfortunately. I think that they should baby it slightly, but not too much. They're in a tough division, and Soto is the man. He's obviously their best player. He might be the best player in baseball, honestly. So if they think it's not too serious, he very well could be on the minimum. And as of right now, I'm going to take him at their word, and I think that you'll see him in 7 games or in about a week or so. Next, we got to get to Lumet. On Tuesday, I talked about Lumet. I've been talking about Lumet a lot, and I've been talking about how they've kind of got around or went around this kind of elbow issue that he's had. And even Tuesday, I said, he's coming back and he's going to pitch, but I was highly skeptical. And it turns out all that skepticism is well fit because he pitched 2 innings and then came out with a forearm. All of these injuries that he's got, are the 2 injuries that I've talked about in every injury report. Your bicep is usually your elbow, and your forearm is also usually your elbow. Lumet elbow is messed up. They need to actually fix something. I don't know. I don't know what it's probably going to be Tommy John, people. I hate to say it. And I know I already had one, but it probably is looking that way again, which is really brutal. But this is kind of what we expected almost. Like they didn't really do a whole lot to treat the elbow outside of like rest, and that just didn't do anything. It didn't fix the actual problem. So they need to go back in and get this checked out. I think Lumet's done. I think he's out for the year. I think he's going to be out for some of next year too, which is brutal because I feel like they could have fixed this. Anyway, this is something that has been on our radar, so if you've been following me this whole time, then this would have been on your radar as well. Hope for the best. Maybe I'm wrong here. I'm hoping to see him again this season. Let's move on. Cody Bellinger was kind of the other odd man who, he had the whole contusion, and we kind of called him out a little bit, and we're like, Why aren't you playing if it's a bruise? What's wrong? Like, come on, bro. But it turns out he actually had a fracture in his fibula, which is pretty serious. But it sounds like he's back swinging, but it sounds also like it's going to be probably a month before you actually see real activity from him. I mean, he's got to learn to run again. Well, he doesn't have to learn to run again, but he's going to have to run at some point, and he's going to have to run hard at some point. So you swing all you want, you're still going to have to figure out how to run. Which means that thing's got to heal, and it's going to probably take a month. So Bellinger might not be on my list here coming soon, unless it's something major in one direction or the other. Get back to Springer here. He played an inter-squad game. That's obviously great news. So the oblique and the quad are finally recovering. This is one that we also kind of had nailed a little bit, that this is a lingering thing, and it is. Especially the oblique, but I think that it's actually good. I said this once before. I think it's almost good that he had the quad issue, because it really gave his oblique real time to heal. Because usually what happens is you come back from the oblique too early and you re-hurt yourself. So Springer is going to be back soon. I know we said that a lot, but he's coming back soon. It doesn't have a timeline, but soon. All right, moving on to some less big, major names. These are more deeper league names. So we'll go with Miguel Sono. Has a hamstring. He's going on the DL. That's all there is to it. He has not played overly well, so he might not be owned in a lot of leagues. Kirilloff's going to come back up, so that's kind of cool to see a young guy come up and hit. But so he's probably droppable in most leagues, especially ones that don't like strikeouts, because he's striking out all over the place. Let's move on. Jock Peterson, big sign for the Cubs. Finds himself, see this one, this is the kind of thing that scares me with the left wrist, it says here. Wrist injuries, man, we've talked about it so many times on this channel, and we're going to continue to talk about them. Even when he comes back, he's going to have just decreased power. That's just how it works. It always seems to work that way. Every player who has a wrist injury, something like this, comes back, and it seems to take them multiple months to actually recover fully and regain their power. Now, that doesn't always happen, but in this case, tendinitis in your wrist and you're going on the DL for it, that's not good, especially because Jock signed just the 1 year thing, and he's kind of a prove himself deal, and he was playing decently, so it's kind of sad for me to see that one. Fantasy people out there, Nate Pearson, now is the time. Pick him up. It's the time. He's pitching again. He's finally got going. I love him in this year. I love him in Dynasty. I think he's a very, very high-risk injury guy, and he has been hurt already, but he's on the mend, and he's coming back, and even this here is saying that he could have some significant fantasy potential in the upcoming weeks. I think Nate Pearson could be an absolute stud. I had been pegged for being right up there in Rookie of the Year, and I'm sure a lot of people have dropped him or don't own him in leagues, and if you have space for somebody like this, then pick him up now. Brian Hayes, we're going to just try to knock out these last couple guys. Re-aggravated his left wrist, and we're back to the wrist again. Noticing a trend here with these wrists. They don't just go away. It's not something that, oh yeah, I'm healed, I'm good, let me go swing a bat as hard as I possibly can. The wrist is very delicate, and it always has been. So swinging a bat is not good for your wrist, and if your wrist hurts, you're going to be prone to this. Jock needs to be careful of this very thing right here. So I expect Hayes to continue to be on the DL until his wrist is actually healed. And when he does come back, I expect a decrease in his swing. Just for a little, I mean, it's not permanent, but it does linger. It does last. Jose Altuve should be back over the weekend. He got hit pretty hard with the COVID stuff, it sounds like, so I'm assuming that he had it. I don't know if I ever read anything that said he actually had it. But Bregman is back, played last night, and Jose Altuve should be back this weekend. So that is good. I probably should have had McCullers on here. I did not check him. I know he missed a start, but I think he's supposed to start again this weekend, and I assume that he probably will. So that's, I guess, good news for Houston. And I think the last name on the list, I'm going to click forward just in case it's not. Brian Anderson's on the DL with our best friend here, the oblique. So expect him to be down for a while. He has struggled, and so I would probably cut him if you haven't already. Even in deeper leagues, I think it's cut time. He's not played well, now he's hurt. All right, so we're back at the top here. So that was fun. It was a good one. A lot of names there, guys. So we'll see you next time. I want to end this one right now. We'll see you next time.